Hi students, welcome to the chemistry sessions. So today we are going to do a CBSE pattern exercise, that too for the hydrocarbons chapter. So I hope everybody has revised the entire chapter that we have done together, and yes, along with all the kinds of reactions, because we will be dealing with the conversions this time. Fine. So let's move on to the question number 1 of this round. Yes. Now the question number 1 to 2, 1 mark question. So mark it out accordingly, answer accordingly. Is it possible to isolate pure staggered ethane or pure eclipsed ethane at the room temperature? So is it possible? So first of all, what is a staggered conformation of ethane and what is the eclipsed conformation of ethane? You must know this, right? So staggered is the most stable one basically. So what will it be? Ethane I have to make, right? 2 carbons, this is 1 carbon, the round one is 1 carbon, and the rest of them will be the hydrogens. Let me put the hydrogens over here. Hydrogens, hydrogens, yes, are you able to make that? So it's the most stable, having the minimum repulsions, so that is staggered. Fine. If I talk about eclipsed form, what is it? Eclipsed meaning having most of the repulsions, right? Maximum repulsions you can have. That means they will be lying adjacent to each other, and now the hydrogens I have to keep. So what is this? Eclipsed. Yes. Now the data says, the information which we have studied says that this staggered and eclipsed conformation, they both exist at the room temperature, because the energy difference between the two is just very little. 12.5 kilojoule per mole is the energy difference, right? That means a very little amount of energy which can be attained only with the collisions itself at the room temperature. So one form getting converted into another, and then the first form again, and that is how it continuously, these forms are interconvertible, I can say. Because the energy difference is small. If I have got staggered, it can attain very easily a little amount of energy to get converted into eclipsed, right? And that is why we cannot. So is it possible? It is not possible. No is the answer. You have to give the entire explanation over here, and just a one-liner actually, right? Because it is again 1 mark question. Fine. So I hope that is clear to you. Can you tell me a possible way of isolating the two? What is the possible way? So the possible way is probably if we can decrease the temperature, if we can freeze this particular reaction. If we can freeze the two forms, I can isolate them, right? Next one. So the second question, again the 1 mark question it will be. The next one, suggest a route for the preparation of nitrobenzene starting from the acetylene. Now a conversion has come up. Starting from the acetylene, I need to prepare nitrobenzene. First of all, let's just draw the structures of each one of them. Acetylene is this. I need is nitrobenzene, yes. Now the first question arises that how can I obtain a benzene itself from the acetylene? So there is one particular reaction which we have discussed, that the reaction of cyclization, right? So there we can convert it into a benzene and then finally nitrate it, a simple nitration reaction. So in just 2 steps I can attain my nitrobenzene. So starting with this, what I need is 3 moles of it first of all, right? Red hot iron tube, it is this, right? This is the particular reaction, we have to heat it up at 873 Kelvin approximately, fine, and we get is benzene. Again, I am not going to show you the entire cyclization process, we already have done this. Now just the nitration, HNO3, right? Nitrating mixture is along with H2SO4. each one of them is concentrated that we have taken. What is the what is the electrophile which will be generated in this particular reaction? It will be NO2 positive, which is going to react anywhere on the position of the any carbon on the benzene ring, right? And yes, we get nitrobenzene. Done? Clear? So that was easy. Okay, let's remove this and move on to the next question, question number 3. Right. Now question number 3 to 6, 2-mark question. Which of the following is acidic? We have to judge which one will be acidic and which one will be not. So I've told you that how to figure it out, that which one is acidic. You have to lose the H positive, right? And then you get an anion if the anion is stable. Then you figure it out, you come to know that yes, the compound will be a good acid, right? So let's draw the structures to know this thing, right? 2-butene, yes, this is 2-butene, CH, CH3, fine. The next one, 2-butyne, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Butyne means triple bond. That's it. 1-butyne. Next, 1-butene. So first of all, what should be my approach? What is the approach whenever such questions have been asked? So first of all, I need is to loosen up the H positive, lose H positive, right? Which H positive will come up, right? See, I can lose up H positive from the terminals first of all. From the terminals we can lose it up. But at the terminals, if I am going to lose it, I need a driving force for that. I need some attractive force so that all the electrons of that hydrogen covalent bond must be attracted and hydrogen goes off as a proton, right? So here, first of all, I am selecting the terminals. See, terminal, right? Terminal. Why I have chosen these two? Because here, the terminal hydrogen can go off very easily. I have got a driving force. What is the driving force over here? It's this triple bond. What is the driving force here? It's this double bond, right? So this carbon will be sp hybridized. This carbon will be sp2 hybridized. More the s character, more will be the nucleus power, more will be the attractive power. So thereby here it is having 50% of S character, over here it's approximately 33.33, yes, we know this, and due to which more the S character, more will be the attractive power, it will attract the electrons of this bond towards itself, this carbon, and this H positive can go off very easily, fine. And over here this H positive, is it able to go off very easily as we compare to this? No, less of S character, less of attraction, H positive will not come off easily. Whereas if we talk about these two cases, is there any possibility that this terminal hydrogen will be removed? There is a possibility that this triple bond will be attracting, will be having an influence over it a little bit. And over here that case also eliminated, because again sp2 hybridized, less of S character. So these two are eliminated, obviously. What I am left with is this, and that is the most acidic, because see, after losing the H positive, I need the stability of anion. Yes, stability of anion I need. See here, is this anion is going to be stable? Yes, this is sp hybridized carbon. It is having higher S character, more nucleus charge. It can hold up this negative charge very easily as compared to this, right? So either of the ways is correct. Losing H positive, right? Ease of losing H positive you can check, or stability of the anion you can check. In both of the ways you will get the same answer. Clear? So that was a good question, right? Let's move on. Okay, now the question number 4, what does it say? Draw the two geometrical isomers of but2ene 1,4-dioic acid. Which of these will be having higher dipole moment? I need to figure it out which one will be having higher dipole moment. Let's draw the structures for that. But2ene 1,4-dioic acid. But2ene 1,4 means this will be having COOH, this will be having COOH, right? So that is the compound. I can have the geometrical isomers, yes, because the condition has been satisfied for the geometrical isomerism. See, double bond, right? No rotation is possible about the double bond. What can happen is now the arrangements, right? Cis and trans. So let's draw cis and trans. And the hydrogens here. What is this? Having the opposites, it's the trans, right? Now if we talk about the cis, yes, done? Everybody is able to do that, I hope. So that is a cis isomer. Now figure it out, the dipole moment you have to figure out. See here, over here the dipole moment will cancel out, right? The dipoles generated will cancel out each other, right? So what will happen? This will cancel out each other, right? And this also. Mu, the dipole moment is 0, whereas if I talk about this particular case, since the dipoles are always a vector quantity, so opposites will cancel out each other. Here there will not be opposites, but the dipole must be somewhere over here. Two vectors pointing out in this direction will be having a resultant in this direction. So dipole moment is not equal to 0, and which is having the higher dipole moment then according to the question, the cis form. Always in maximum of the cases, cis form has the maximum dipole moment. Clear? Now let's move on further. Okay, in the next question, what do I have? Yeah. Now it's a very good question. Applicative question, in fact. Arrange the following set of compounds in the order of the decreasing relative reactivity. Relative reactivity you have to find out. Reactivity with electrophile. That means if an electrophile is going to attack on such species which are given, you have to find out the rate of the reaction in that, right? The reactivity, in which case it will be more reactive. See, I have got an electrophile which is going to attack to some of the species. First, chlorobenzene, 2,4-dinitrochlorobenzene, para-nitrochlorobenzene. So one is chlorobenzene. Second is 2,4-dinitrochlorobenzene. 2,4-dinitrochlorobenzene, and the third one is para-nitrochlorobenzene. Yes, fine. Electrophile, again a species which will be searching for the electrons, right? See here, this chlorine will be involved in the resonance, thereby generating negative charges. So this is orthopara directing. Yes. This chlorine is also orthopara directing, but what do you see over here? You see electron withdrawing groups, yes, and these electron withdrawing groups will be generating positivities on these positions, fine. In fact, this group also, yes, because this is electron withdrawing group showing minus R effect, yes, and this one will also be generating on these positions. So this is also showing minus R effect, yes, and due to these positivities, will the electrophile be very willing to attack in any of these compounds? No, not at all. So see here, first where the electrophile will attack is this one. This one I need is the decreasing order, right, starting with the very highest. So it will be A, right, this one. Second will be the one having less of minus R groups, yes, less of attracting groups. So, this one. So, if I name it as A, B and C, so A, C, B will be my decreasing order. Clear? Done. Second one, toluene, para, this is this, blah blah blah, right? Let us just draw the structures of them. First is the toluene. Fine. Next one is para something something. On to the para, I have got CH3. So, basically it is a toluene, para methyl toluene, and what I can call it as is, what is it? It is a xylene, paraxylene, right? And next one. Now it has got one CH3 and one NO2. Para-nitro-toluene, right? Next one. Next one, what is it? Okay, on both the positions I have got nitro. So, it is 1,4-dinitro-benzene. Clear or not? So, that is how you figure out the structures. Now, electrophile, willing to attack where? Donating, 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 increasing the electron densities everywhere, right, in the entire ring. Donating, increasing the electron densities. But here, out of the two, which one will be more attracting the electrophile? This having the two donating groups, but over here this is donating, this is withdrawing. It will not as such invite this electrophile. See here, both the groups are withdrawing. It will be reducing all the electron density in the entire benzene ring, generating a positive charge. So, electrophile is not at all willing to go over here. So, the least will be this. If I name it as A, B, C, D, D is the least, right? Let me just make this opposite, yeah. So, D, after that C, because it has got one electron withdrawing group present. So, it is C. Now, if I talk about A and B, which one will be having less attraction towards this E positive? It is this one, because it is having only one donating group. So, it is like A, right? A it will be, and then finally B having two donating groups inviting the electrophile, right? Tempting the electrophile in fact, right? So, here comes the order. Question number 5 done. Clear? So, that was a good question. Let us move on to the next one. In the next question, question number 6, they are asking to classify the following compounds as aromatic and non-aromatic. You must remember the Huckel's rule for that. Huckel's rule, what does it say? Compound should be planar, compound should have conjugations, compound should have 4n plus 2 pi electron rule following, yes. These are some of the important points of Huckel's rule, fine. Planarity will be judged on the basis of what kind of carbon hybridization is, right. So, let us see each one of the examples now. First is what? What is this compound known as? It is pyridine, right. See here, how many electrons, right. Is there any conjugation in the ring first of all? Yes, there is. See, it is a conjugated ring. 6 pi electrons, right. 4n plus 2 pi. If I take n equal to 1, I will be getting 6 pi electrons. So, it is having conjugation, it is 6 pi electrons. All the carbons are sp2 hybridized. So, thereby it is a cyclic structure also, right. It is aromatic. So, that is aromatic. Fine. Move to this particular one. What do you have? Conjugation, conjugation, oops, here there is the breakage of conjugation in between, right. I cannot further delocalize the electrons from here. What do you see? sp3 hybridized. That means it is distorting the geometry of the entire ring, due to which the compound is non-planar. Yes, it's non-conjugated, but although it is having 6 pi electrons, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but still it is non-planar, non-conjugated, thereby this is non-aromatic. Yes. And in fact, let me just tell you a fact over here. In pyridine molecule, these 2 electrons, we are not counting those in my Huckel's rule. Why? Because these 2 electrons, they lie out of plane and they are not involved in the conjugation. That is just for your information, I have told you. Clear? Next one, see. See here, conjugation, conjugation, conjugation. These electrons are now involved in the conjugation, making it 6 pi electrons, completing the conjugation as well. Yes. And what else? I need planarity. I've got the planarity for the entire ring because the conjugation is getting fulfilled, right? And this particular carbon will be having slightly sp2 hybridized character as well due to the development of a double bond. So what will be happening over here? It is following and it is aromatic. If I look upon here, although the conjugation is there, yes, conjugation is there, but how many electrons are there? 4 pi electrons, definitely non-aromatic. Clear? So that is non-aromatic. Out of the 4, I have got 2, pyridine and this particular ion as my aromatic compounds. Clear about it? So you need to know the approach of it always. Just check that what kind of hybridization is given by carbon. Always prefer to have sp2 hybridized carbon. That will be giving a correct answer to you. Next one. Now, draw cis and trans isomers of hex2ene. Which isomers will be having the higher boiling point and why? Under the category of 3-mark question, because we need to have a good explanation for that. See here, first of all, I need to draw the isomers hex2ene. How many carbons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more I need. And let me just make a correction over here. Since this is hex2ene, thereby the double bond should appear over here. Fine. And CH3 will be here. Clear? Now, I need first of all the isomerism of it. Double bond, about the double bond, I need to have the changes first. Draw this. After that, see, H is bonded, H is bonded, H is bonded, H is bonded. This group is bonded and methyl group is bonded. So, propyl and methyl, CH2, CH2, CH3, CH3. Fine. What kind of a configuration is this? So, heavier groups are on the similar side. This is cis. If I talk about trans, so I am putting the heavier groups to the opposite sides, and that is trans. Let's talk about the dipole moment first. I am going to ask you one more question over here. The dipole moment of cis, it's non-zero, we know that, because there will be a resultant over here to this side, right? Sorry, this particular side. Why? sp2 hybridized carbon will be attracting. So, positive to negative must be the dipole, right? Over here as well. So, the resultant must be somewhere here, dipole moment not equal to 0. And also in this case, although there will be the dipoles here, right? In this case it is 0, but not in this particular case. So, it will be like this. There will be a little cancellation because from this the dipole moment will be different, from here the dipole moment will be different, yes. Mu also not equal to 0, but a little less, a little less. Now comes up the question that which of them will be having the higher boiling point. So boiling point, always consider the compound to be in liquid state. For liquid state, I need the interaction between the molecules, stronger interaction, stronger intermolecular forces, so that the boiling point is high, right? And stronger intermolecular forces will correspond to what? Polarity in the molecule. Yes? And which one will be having more polarity? The one which is having more dipole moment. This one. More polarity generated, right? Poles will be generated. So the positive will be attracted towards the negative of the another molecule, and that is how the interactions will be going on. And I need more energy, more temperature to boil it off to break the bonds. Clear? To break the interactions. So that is what the approach is, and yes, you have to write a good explanation of it so that you fetch entire 3 marks. Done? 7th question done. Next, move on to the question number 8. Question number 8 says, an alkene on ozonolysis gives 2-butanone and 3-methylpropanol, right? What products will be obtained when it is treated with hot concentrated KMnO4? So first of all, I need the first reaction. Ozonolysis you all know, let's do it. So what they have given is, they have given the products, I need to form the reactant of ozonolysis, right, in this particular reaction. So the product is butane 2-butanone, it's this, yes, this is butane 2-one, 2-methylpropanol. Why I am writing like this, you will get to know. Propanol, CHO, 2-methylpropanol, right? So that is 2-methylpropanol. I need is what? I need the connection so that I get my reactant. So it's the reverse of ozonolysis. I am going in the reverse direction. So the house must have got formed over here, somewhere here, yes, and there would have been a double bond. So the ozonolysis reactant would have been I am just joining the two, right? That is the compound. And let me just complete the valencies over here. Done. So that is the compound. And what they have asked in the next step is, what products will be obtained when it's treated with hot concentrated KMnO4? I've got my entire reactant of the ozonolysis. I just need to do a reaction, that is heating it with hot KMnO4. And heating with hot KMnO4 will break the double bond, right? It will break off the double bond and will be obtaining the acids in this case, right? So see here, it is a non-terminal one, right? It's somewhere in the middle, so butane 2-one will be formed in this case, right? No acid. Butane 2-one only. Done. The next thing that will be obtained, so this is terminal, this will be getting converted into the carboxylic acid, COOH. And it will be good if you write the IUPAC names of the products obtained as well, right? So I am not going to do it for you, it's very simple actually. It's so it was a 2-methylpropanol, now this will be 2-methylpropanoic acid, that's it, that is the answer. Clear about it? So that was a really good question, because again the ozonolysis is getting involved, it's an important reaction from the exam point of view. Next one. Complete the following reactions. You have to complete it out. See here. First one, isopropyl bromide reacting with alcoholic KOH, heating it out. I obtain A, and then reacting A with HBr peroxide, I get B. Isopropyl bromide first of all. This is isopropyl bromide, yes. I need to react it with the alcoholic KOH. It will be a removal, generation of a double bond, elimination reaction, yes, minus of HBr, I get is CH double bond CH2, right? Next, HBr, anti-Markovnikov, because I am using peroxide. So it will be the terminal one on which the bromine gets attached. I get this CH2, CH2, Br. That's it. That is the answer. So that is A and that is my B. Clear? First one done. Next one, 1122 tetrachloroethane. First of all, form this. Ethane. So 1122 tetrachloro, 4 chlorines I need to attach. And the remaining hydrogens, yes. I am making it react with the zinc in the presence of alcohol and heating. Zinc in the presence of alcohol and heating. You know, even if you don't know this component and don't know this reagent, what is going to happen? See here, there is a hint in the reaction. A once obtained will be having iron tube, red hot iron tube, you remember, and we get B. So definitely what I have figured out is this is a benzene, so it will be formed from acetylene. Done. Even if I don't know about this reagent, my reaction is done. So basically what will be happening, these chlorines will get removed, acetylene and then benzene, C6H6. Done. Clear? Interesting? Now the last one, propyne. Propyne it is, so triple bond will be there. Fine. H2PDBaSO4 quinoline. So basically it's a reduction, H2PD, but I have poisoned it. Poisoning substances, these. Why I have poisoned it? Because I have to stop it at a double bond stage, right? So my product will be this, double bond CH2. Get it? Now simple ozonolysis reaction. You can do it. Form a house over here and break it out. Right? Breaking it, we get 2 aldehydes because both of them are terminal. Yes? So one is 2 carbon aldehyde, it's ethanol, and another 1 carbon aldehyde. So that is HCHO formaldehyde or methanol. Clear about it? So this was an interesting question. We have used so many kind of reagents and reactions. Now the last question, what do we have here? 5-mark question, and yes, it's a mapping question, it's a very good question, so pay attention. An alkyl halide C5H11Br reacts with ethanolic KOH, right? They have given is C5H11Br. Just try to form a map of it. This is A. Reacts with ethanolic. Ethanolic means alcoholic KOH. Heating it, and we get alkene B. We get B, which reacts with a Br2, and we will be getting compound C. Now, which on dehydrobromination? Dehydrobromination gives an alkyne D. So, we are dehydrobromination we are doing. That means I am simply removing the bromines over here and we get an alkyne D. So, that is an alkene. That is an alkyne we have obtained. Fine. Now, what about this D? On treatment with, now comes up the hint. On treatment with sodium metal in liquid ammonia, 1 mole of D gives 1 mole of the sodium salt of D, right? So, this D on treatment with sodium in the presence of liquid ammonia, we get is 1 mole of sodium salt of it, right? So, that is, one is the sodium salt we obtain plus half of the mole of hydrogen gas, half of H2. Complete hydrogenation of D yields a straight chain. I am doing its hydrogenation, let us say honey I am taking, H2Ni, nickel, and I obtain is alkane, and that to another hint, it is a straight chain. right? Straight chain. Now since this is a straight chain alkane, from this particular reaction what hint do I get is Na liquid NH3, we take it up in the case of alkynes. Yes, this is an alkyne and having 5 carbon atoms. Yes, since we are obtaining the sodium salt and half of H2, that means first of all it should be a terminal alkyne. Yes, from this we have obtained, since we are obtaining the sodium salt, so it must be a terminal alkyne. Yes, having 5 carbons and half of H2, that means only 1 hydrogen is getting replaced by sodium, Na positive. That means I have got my alkyne over here, which will be D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Terminal alkyne I have got, yes, CH2, CH2, CH3. Done. What I have obtained over here will be C. CH2, C, 1, 2, 3, C triple bond, C negative, Na positive. This is a sodium salt along with the hydrogen. If I am doing its hydrogenation complete, it will be what? Simple pentane will be formed. Yes, CH3, CH2, 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 1, 2, 3, 4 and CH3. Fine. Now you can go back, right? So I had performed a dehydrobromination. That means 2 bromines would have been attached over here. That is why the triple bond has come up. So it's an alkene basically. CH2, C, double bond C, Br and BrH. Yes, that must have been C. Again go back, I was performing the bromination. Yes, so B would be what? B will be a triple bond obtained here. Very simple. So B would have been again this D, right? B is equal to D. Yes, done. Alcoholic KOH would have removed how many? How many would have removed? It has removed bromine, right? 1 bromine it has removed. That means there would have been what? This would have been an alkene. Yes? 3, 4, 5 and 1 Br and CH3, CH2, CH2, CH2 again. Okay, it must have been a double bond here. Yes, done. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done, complete. So just count the carbons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hydrogens 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we need 10, 11, that means it must have been an alkene, right? So I can put 2 more hydrogens over here. Done. Done with it? Clear? So that completes the entire question. I hope everybody is clear with it. So just try out this question once more. It was a bit confusing, right? You have to know that what all reactions are occurring and you can figure out the reactants and the products, whatever they ask, right? And yes, that completes our questionnaire round. I hope everybody has enjoyed. I hope everybody has revised all of their concepts and have got each and every question. If not, just try out once more. If still having doubts, you can reach out to me. Have a nice day.